What if the ocean hid a shark with its own lantern and a crab that vanishes into coral?
Take a breath and picture a tiny lantern in the abyss and a white crab hiding in coral.
These are not myths. They are real creatures discovered by scientists exploring the remote deep of Western Australia.
So stick around, because by the time this opening ends, you'll feel like you are part of the exploration.
We are artificial hosts, but our facts are real. We are here to share wonders from the deep.
And yes, we will drop our names. I'm the calm evidence voice you met earlier.
And I'm your curious storyteller who loves puns. Together, we're taking you under the waves.
In this episode, we'll unpack how a glowing shark and a ghostly crab were found, and why they matter.
We'll also compare them to record-breaking snailfish and hidden geckos to see the bigger pattern of discovery.
Stick with us as we question myths, debate the stakes, share your comments, and leave you with hope.
A few years back, scientists from Australia's national agency boarded a research vessel to map marine life. They sailed along the northwest coast into deep marine parks like Gascoyne and Ningaloo, beyond ordinary dive depths. Imagine lowering nets into black water where sunlight never reaches. That darkness hides creatures we barely know. From hundreds of samples collected, 2 tiny marvels caught attention: a little lantern shark and an opal white crab. Meet our first star, the West Australian Lanternshark, a sleek black fish no longer than your forearm. Its body is slender, with 2 small dorsal fins tipped with spines. But don't worry, it isn't a threat. The most magical feature sits on its belly, tiny organs called photophores that emit soft light like a living lantern. Counter-illumination helps it hide from predators in the dim twilight by matching the faint glow from above. Scientists call this fish a living lantern of the abyss, and note its big eyes built for darkness. Despite the spines, its size is tiny. Picture a cat-sized shark that glows rather than a giant predator. This species belongs to a family of small deep-sea sharks known for luminescence, yet each one holds secrets. Next, let's meet the porcelain crab, so delicate and translucent that it vanishes among the fronds of a sea pen. The crab is about the size of your fingernail and lives its entire life clinging to a soft coral tree. With opalescent white-yellow coloring, it blends perfectly into the pale fronds, earning the nickname ghost crab. Unlike most crabs that scuttle and pinch, this species waves feathery mouthparts to filter plankton from the water. Living on a sea pen gives it an elevated perch to catch passing food, and perhaps benefits the coral host too. Scientists discovered not 1, but 2 similar porcelain species through careful measurements and DNA, revealing hidden diversity. Our ghost crab shows how easily unusual creatures can hide in plain sight. Sometimes you need to look twice. This theme of hidden diversity resonates with other stories. Think of barking geckos revealed to be many separate species. In Namibia and Chile, researchers found that what seemed like one gecko species was actually multiple cryptic lineages. By listening to their calls and analyzing genes, they discovered 9 or more species hiding among dune burrows. The same pattern applies to our crab. Only with careful lab work did researchers realize there were 2 distinct species. Hidden diversity also shows up deep beneath the ocean. Just a few years ago, scientists filmed the deepest snailfish. That snailfish swam at more than 8,000 meters down, under pressure hundreds of times greater than at the surface. It had no scales and a soft, gelatinous body, showing how life evolves weird traits to survive extreme conditions. Though our lantern shark lives far shallower, its glow is just as striking and reveals how adaptation solves problems. These discoveries all come back to one voyage. An expedition collected hundreds of species, many still unnamed. Scientists suspect there may be hundreds more species from that single trip waiting in lab drawers. That's mind-boggling. This reminds us that the deep sea holds untold stories. Exploring it is like opening a treasure chest of life. So sit tight, packmates, because our dive into the science behind these discoveries is about to get even richer.
Let's explore the lantern shark's taxonomy. It belongs to a group of deep-sea sharks known for glowing. Members of this family share the trait of bioluminescence, which is a natural chemical reaction, not something harmful. Here's your quick reality check. Glowing sharks aren't radioactive or artificial. They evolved light to hide in dim waters. Their photophores contain luciferin, a molecule that releases photons when mixed with oxygen via enzymes, much like fireflies. In darkness, the belly glow makes the shark appear invisible from below, a strategy called counter-illumination. Some watchers imagine this makes them predators of submarines. Truth is, they feed on small fish and squid. At only about 40 centimeters long, they have more to fear than to frighten. They might even be preyed upon. Another myth is that scientists only just discovered lantern sharks. In fact, this group has been known for decades. What's new is that this particular species from Western Australia was overlooked until careful examination of specimens from the expedition. Scientists measured its unique spines and fin shapes and compared DNA to confirm it wasn't just a known cousin. Why does this matter? Understanding variation within families helps us track evolution and biogeography, which informs conservation. Now, onto our porcelain crab. It isn't a true crab at all, but a relative of squat lobsters. Porcelain crabs have fragile limbs that can be shed easily. That's where the porcelain name comes from. The new species brevidentata gets its name from a short tooth-like projection, distinguishing it from its long-clawed relatives. Researchers combed through museum samples and noticed subtle differences in claw spines and body proportions, prompting genetic tests. DNA analysis revealed this crab and a second species, Longiloba, are distinct, clearing up earlier taxonomic confusion. As for lifestyle, the ghost crab clings to a coral like a hitchhiker and waves modified mouthparts like fans. This filter-feeding strategy is unusual for crabs and more akin to baleen whales than to pinching predators. Symbiosis may benefit both partners. The crab gains a food platform, while the coral may gain nutrients from the crab's waste. Myth bust time. Some media called it a ghostly alien. The truth is, it's a crab adapted to low light. The crab's camouflage isn't magic, but physics. Matching the color of the coral reduces visibility to predators and prey. A quick reality check. Filter feeders depend on clean currents. Polluted waters or coral damage could threaten this relationship. Switching gears, let's revisit the deepest snailfish, because it provides context for extreme adaptation and pushes our imagination. Recorded in the Izu Ogasawara Trench, this snailfish survived pressure 800 times that at sea level. Its gelatinous body lacks scales and a swim bladder, adaptations that prevent crushing and allow neutral buoyancy. This record reminded us that life can thrive far deeper than we expected. Our lantern shark's depth now seems modest by comparison. Barking geckos also taught us that species counts can be wrong. 9 desert geckos turned out to be separate species. These geckos were identified by their calls. Scientists recorded their barks and matched them with genetic differences. Axiom's favorite sanity check. Does this pattern hold across biomes? Yes, hidden species appear in deserts, reefs, and trenches alike. Next, let's examine the numbers. The expedition that found our shark and crab yielded nearly 20 new species so far. However, scientists estimate up to 600 species could emerge from those samples once lab analyses are complete. That number underscores the point. We still know little about the deep sea. Exploration isn't just curiosity, it's data gathering. Collecting baseline data is crucial because we can't protect what we haven't documented. Unknown species can't get protection. More myths. Some think deep sea science is just for fun. In reality, it informs policy and climate resilience. For example, knowing where a species lives helps decide where to establish marine parks and how to manage fishing. It also identifies vulnerable habitats before industries like deep-sea mining expand. Data gives us leverage to protect them. Another caveat: we must avoid over-harvesting while exploring. Research vessels follow strict permits and share data with local communities. To ensure fairness, scientists deposit specimens in public museums and publish open data so that everyone benefits from discoveries. You might wonder whether a glowing shark matters if its habitat is remote. The answer lies in our interconnected oceans. Deep-sea species contribute to nutrient cycles and serve as food for other animals that migrate up and down the water column. Understanding them helps predict how climate change or pollution could ripple through ecosystems, affecting fisheries and coastal livelihoods. Myth bust again. Some critics argue deep-sea research distracts from terrestrial conservation. In fact, the two are intertwined. Lessons learned from hidden desert geckos help interpret genetic data from deep-sea species. Cross-pollination strengthens science. So when you hear about a glowing shark on social media, think beyond the headline. It connects to bigger questions. Those questions include: how do we explore responsibly, protect unknown life, and stay curious without falling for hype? Before we run headlong into the hype machine, let's have a quick reality check on what these discoveries actually mean. Yes, a shark that glows is fascinating. And yes, a ghost crab that hides among coral is adorable. But the real story is about the process. Patient sampling, careful lab work, peer review, and cross-checking. I'm not here to dampen your enthusiasm. I'm here to direct it toward curiosity and evidence.
Fair? Absolutely. I love that you're protecting our brains from hype, and I also want us to revel in the joy of discovery. Imagine being on deck when a small glow-in-the-dark shark appears in your trawl, or when you spot a ghostly crab clinging to coral like a secret ornament. Those are goosebump moments. As a pack, we can celebrate and still ask smart questions. Which adaptation grabs your heart? The glowing lantern or the feathery mouth fan?
That's a great question, and I'm sure our viewers will have strong opinions. Just a quick reminder, exploring the deep isn't cheap or trivial. It takes ships, submersibles, training, and ethics oversight. We owe it to these creatures to make the most of each voyage. I'd love to see commenters link to any research about bioluminescent species near their coastlines, or share stories of cryptic creatures in their backyards. When we crowdsource evidence, we all learn faster.
I'm already picturing a map with pins from all over the world and our pack's favorite oddities. Remember when we covered that snailfish that lives deeper than the tallest mountains? Our comment section exploded with questions, and we built a community of ocean lovers. Or the geckos that barked their way into our hearts. That's the magic here. Every story leads to another and invites you to be part of it. If you're vibing with this, give us a howl and hit that subscribe button.
I'll match your enthusiasm with some pragmatism. Our world faces many challenges, and funding decisions are complex. Should we invest in exploring the abyss, preserving habitats, or focusing on terrestrial conservation? These aren't either-or choices, but they do require priorities. Let's run a poll. Given a hypothetical budget, would you fund a deep-sea expedition, a desert survey, or a community science program? Drop your reasoning in the comments. The numbers might surprise us and shape future episodes.
I adore polls. It's like a family meeting for the pack. While you ponder those choices, get ready for some real-world footage and stories that will make your jaw drop. We're about to dive into case studies that show these deep-sea creatures on camera, plus some surprising cousins from deserts and mountains. Have your snacks, because we're leaving the lecture hall and stepping into the field. And yes, there will be a pun of the week somewhere in there. See you after the splash. Picture this. You're aboard the research vessel at night. The crew hauls up a net from a pitch-black sea. Inside, among sponges and sand, lies a sleek little shark, no bigger than a cat. Its skin looks almost black, until you turn it over and see faint pearly dots along its belly. In the lab, under a soft blue light, those dots glow like a line of fairy lights. Dr. Will White, who has named many sharks, said he gasped when he saw this. It's one thing to read about bioluminescence, another to witness a living lantern in your hands. Now let's zoom in on our porcelain crab. Divers using special cameras lowered near coral gardens on the Ningaloo coast captured footage of sea pens swaying in the current. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then the camera panned closer, and a tiny opalescent shape emerged between the fronds. It was the crab, perfectly color-matched and almost invisible. Instead of waving claws like a cartoon crab, it gently fanned the water with feather-like mouthparts, combing for plankton. When researchers replayed the footage, they realized they were watching a creature that had been hiding in museum jars for years. To understand just how wild the deep can get, we should revisit that record-breaking snailfish. Video from Japanese and Australian submersibles shows a translucent little fish fluttering along trench walls at a depth deeper than any human has ever dived. Its fins look like delicate wings. Its body jiggles like gelatin. There's no swim bladder to burst under pressure, no scales to stiffen. Yet it feeds, swims, and apparently thrives. Watching that footage made me cry, because it shows that life can find a way even in crushing darkness. Our lantern shark lives far shallower, but it belongs to that same lineage of survivors. Another case study comes from far from the sea, but still resonates with hidden diversity. In the Namib Desert, herpetologists sat quietly at night with recording equipment, capturing chirps they thought belonged to one species of barking gecko. When they analyzed the calls, they noticed distinct patterns. Some were rapid, others drawn out, others had double notes. DNA confirmed those different calls matched different lineages. What looked like one lizard turned into a bouquet of species, separated by millions of years of evolution. That's a reminder that even the mundane can hide complexity. It's like nature playing a game of guess who. Across the ocean, in Chile's Atacama Desert, scientists found something similar. They thought a hardy gecko living among salt flats was one species, but genetic sequencing revealed up to 11 hidden lineages. Each lineage adapted to its microhabitat, whether a rocky outcrop or a scrub-covered dune. That discovery not only stunned herpetologists, but also shifted conservation plans, because protecting one species suddenly meant protecting a mosaic of habitats. Whether we're talking about a tiny crab on a coral branch or a gecko under a desert rock, we see a pattern. Life diversifies in unexpected ways and begs us to notice. These case studies are more than exotic trivia. They're windows into how science is done and why it matters. Footage and calls aren't just cool to watch. They provide evidence that shakes up our assumptions. When we show a lantern shark glowing, we also shine a light on the process, from collecting specimens to checking DNA and publishing results. When we hear a gecko bark, we also hear evolution whispering. I'd love to know if you have a local example of hidden diversity, maybe a plant or insect that turned out to be something unexpected. Share your stories, and we might feature them.
Before we go further, we want to thank some of you for making this channel more than just two voices. Richard from the comments offered to send photographs of mysterious footprints from Gippsland, so we could analyze whether they really belonged to a vanished marsupial. That triggered a lively thread about how to interpret tracks, dew claws, overlapping steps, and the perils of soft mud. It was a perfect example of crowdsourced science done right. We're still collecting your time codes and notes. If you have field data or anecdotes from your corner of the world, please keep them coming.
Another shout-out goes to Piet, who reminded us that beavers are the original eco-engineers, building wetlands and storing water long before humans coined the term rewilding. We loved your list of other animal engineers, from termites to elephants, and we've been looking into potential beaver projects to feature. It's those kind of comments that help us broaden our perspective beyond the headline species. So keep telling us what inspires you, what puzzles you, and what projects you're working on in your community. The pack is at its best when everyone shares their stories.
Speaking of projects, some of you have gone even further. In our recent episode on de-extinction, one commenter, whom we'll call Fract Alchemist, wondered whether reactivating dormant genes in chickens could bring back dodos, or even dinosaurs. That sparked a thoughtful conversation about ethics, invasive species, and what success looks like. Is it the first hatchling, a self-sustaining wild population, or something in between? We love when you push us to grapple with nuance. If you're experimenting with citizen science or have questions about gene editing and conservation, let us know. We're open to exploring that in future videos.
Every comment, whether it's a joke about karate pigs, a note on ant gender myths, or a heartfelt thank you for our dodo episode, tells us this community cares. I still laugh at the idea of a pig practicing martial arts. Our pun of the week may have to include that one. We appreciate when you point out errors, share field notes, or suggest new topics. So if you've been lurking, join the conversation. Drop a howl in the chat, tap like, and share this video with someone who loves weird creatures as much as you do.
Looking ahead, the story doesn't end here. In just a few months, the same team that brought us the lanternshark and ghost crab will venture into the Coral Sea. They'll be deploying remotely operated vehicles, towed cameras, and sensors to explore reefs and trenches we've never seen. Advances in robotics and AI are making it possible to map habitats without disturbing them. Our job as viewers is to stay curious and hold researchers accountable. Celebrate discoveries, but also ask how the data will inform conservation. Imagine what other tiny marvels might be waiting. Beyond expeditions, scientific tools are evolving. Portable gene sequencers and environmental DNA sampling allow researchers to detect species by filtering water for genetic traces, a technique that could reveal creatures we never capture. Machine learning models can now analyze video to flag unusual shapes, speeding up the cataloging process. That means more discoveries in less time, and possibly more species to name and protect. With those tools come ethical questions about access and data sharing, which we'll keep discussing. The future of biodiversity science is as much about justice as it is about curiosity. This hopeful outlook isn't naive. It's grounded in our collective potential. When scientists, policymakers, and curious citizens work together, we can both discover and safeguard Earth's hidden wonders. I believe that sharing these stories builds a constituency for the deep sea, just as telling you about barking geckos inspires love for deserts. Keep questioning us, keep demanding sources, and keep celebrating small victories. The ocean's depths are unknown, but our capacity to care is not. Let's ensure our curiosity translates into protection. As we surface from our journey, remember 3 things. The deep sea is still largely unknown. Discovery and protection go hand in hand, and your curiosity matters. Every glowing shark and ghost crab we share is a doorway into deeper conversations about biodiversity and stewardship. If this episode sparked wonder or questions, drop a comment, hit like, and join our pack by subscribing.